Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. I'm Kristin Clark with College Planning Untangled, and I'm here with Bobby Hood with Bobby Hood Online Tutoring. And Bobby, we're going to talk today about what to ask on your college visits. We've got spring break coming up
Absolutely.
soon. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think parents are going to be a lot of people listening might be about to go visit a college, right?
Absolutely. And, it's going to be different across the country, but I know in our neck of the woods, spring break's coming up next week.
Yep.
So hopefully this is just right on time for everybody. And I'm going to make sure to put all these questions into the comments so that you can download those and take them on your college visits. To me, Bobby, it's when you go on these college visits, you feel like, oh, I'm going to remember all this.
Right.
And you don't.
Right.
That's one thing, right? So it's a great cheat sheet for you to make sure that you kind of checked all the things at all the colleges. And now
Right.
when you get home, you can compare. I know when we went with our boys, it would be, we went to 5, 6 different colleges and you forget, you're like, wait, was that on that campus or where was that? Yeah. So it can help families with that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, part of it is, okay, maybe you're planning a trip to go visit colleges over spring break. Maybe you're going to plan to do it this summer. So still, this is a great video to look back at. But also like, if you're going to, like, if you haven't thought about it yet, where are you going for spring break? If you're going somewhere and you drive past a college campus, that's interesting. It doesn't really matter if it's, your top choice of a place to go. Just going and walking around any college campus starts the process. And you might have one of those students who's like, I'll think about college later, right? So even if you have a sophomore or a freshman or whatever, just go drive past college, and then suddenly they'll start getting interested when they see people walking around.
That, Bobby, and I think the other thing is there's some excitement around it now and less fear because they've set foot on a college campus.
Right.
I would even tell you, heck, if you've got an 8th grader and you're going by a college campus, pop
Yeah.
in and just be like, this is what this is all about, and
Absolutely. It can't hurt.
open up their thoughts.
Absolutely. So so let's talk about just some things, like, because you might think, oh, we'll just walk around and we'll just let them tell us the stuff on the tour, and like we'll just ask whatever questions occur to us as we go. But the tour guide's gonna take notes on the kids, right, and the students and the parents. They will note how interested you seem, right? So you want to make an impression, and one of the ways you can make an impression is by asking good questions, and plus ask good questions because you'll get information, right? But so the first thing, go ahead.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. The document that Bobby and I are looking at right now is available to you. And again, I'm going to put it in the comments shortly. But you're right. It gives you those questions to ask, especially for a kid that he's like, I don't know. I mean, if you don't know about college, sometimes you don't know what questions to ask. So yeah, we give you a great cheat sheet for that as well.
So we'll just run through that really quickly. Just things to think about, because these are just suggestions, right? But like, one of the things, of course, that you should ask about, like, you need to ask the questions because on the tour they're going to give you all the promotional stuff, right? And all the cool stuff, right? And so you want to ask, there's some hard questions that you probably need to ask. Like, one of the things is about dorms, right? Which is, okay, how safe are the dorms? What are the security rules? Like, is there security? What's the crime rate around them on campus? Are all students required to live in the dorms, or is it one of those schools where freshmen can, first year students can live off campus, right? So just ask about that. Ask the person who's giving you the tour whether they lived in the dorms and how they felt about it.
And Bobby, I love my facts. This is a big one for moms and dads.
Yep.
Okay. It's healthier for your kid long-term to be in a dorm room that doesn't have the separate apartments.
Yeah.
Meaning
or you're in a room with someone.
You're in the room with someone or
right.
A couple people, right?
Yeah. If you can just close the door and disappear the entire semester, that's very dangerous emotionally, right?
Yes. And the reason for that, the reason why they say it's healthier is you acclimate faster into the community and, just being a part of things. Somebody walks by, they're like, come on over, let's go do this.
Sure.
It's
you meet their friends, they meet your friends, your social network expands. And just, they might say, hey, why don't the two of us go walk around or go check this out or whatever. Whereas they might be intimidated by knocking on your door if you might seem aloof or something. Yeah.
Yep. So it's huge. And I can't say it enough. We made the mistake with our oldest. didn't make the mistake with our next, and it was completely different experience.
That's really important. Yeah.
All right. Second thing we want to talk about is dining halls. Guys, if you've got allergies, all that great stuff, ask about that, obviously. But here's another thing I want you to think about. When you first walk into these dining halls, you see all the different stations, right? And they've got the hamburger station and the pizza station and the salad station and the fresh vegetable station or whatever. I've seen a lot of banter this year about not a lot of fresh or healthy options.
Right.
So I would think about that. And I'd also think about if you're walking in every day and the same exact things are offered, you're going to get bored. So ask those questions. And at first it seems like they've got tons of bells and whistles. If you're seeing the bells and whistles every day, it's not the same. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in college, everybody jokes about the freshman 15, but at the campus at TCU, they had a hamburger making station, and man, for weeks I would
Belly
eat,
up.
this hamburger with all sorts of toppings on it. Yeah. And then weeks later you find out you've gained 10 pounds. Right. And like that's something. And I think the students are definitely going to be interested in the dining hall no matter what. They're always going to want to take a look at it. But those are the questions to ask, right? And also check out the whole meal plan thing, all that. Just be aware.
Well, that one's important, Bobby, because now you're talking dollars and cents. And, I always talk about being frugal. I will tell you, at the end of the school year, I hear all the times on all the blogs, these kids have not eaten all their stuff.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to scramble and go buy stuff at the Publix or the other. So I would tell you, especially for girls, I'd err on the side of the lower plan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah, it's always money left over because, you end up going with friends and grabbing a burger somewhere or whatever, or you just don't like food because it's not nutritious and you start eating stuff in your dorm room that's healthier or whatever. Right.
Yep.
And okay, so that leads us into like the wellness center, right? Which they might mention on a tour, but they're probably not going to stop in front of the, wellness center and give a whole speech. Right. And, we still are in the time where, like psychological problems and stress and things like that can be stigmatized. They're probably on college campuses nowadays, hopefully doing a better job of doing less of that. But you need to go find out, okay, what can you come to the health center for? When do you need to go somewhere else? Right. Is it free? It should be free or very low cost. Right. And is mental health in the same place as the wellness center?
And I'm going to tell you,
somewhere else and find out where it is. It often used to not be, and it might still be somewhere else because they don't want people to feel like everyone's looking at them when they go in, right, or something. So find out where it is, and then find out do they have actual programs for stress relief? Because finals and exam time and all that are really stressful, and some colleges have really good programs where you can go and get help if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, right? And that can make the difference, as you always talk about, between, whether you need to take another year or not. If you end up failing one semester, man, you're in trouble. So really
good. Bobby, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're frozen on the video.
I'm frozen, but I'm going to keep talking. All right.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to visit the department or school that your student is majoring in. Right. And, we've talked about this. We've talked about demonstrated interest and how important it is for you to go and talk to this, that area of your school, get the tour. So just know this, parents, you can still do this, but you need to sign up before you go because this is now an appointment that you have. And, ask questions about that school, because they can also help your student kind of check the boxes as to, is that the right place for them as far as a major?
Absolutely. And this is one of those things too. Like if you go and you're interested in business or journalism or whatever, and you go tour that school, you're likely going to meet a professor or two or a dean or somebody just as part of that visit. And if you go to that school and you major there, you're going to end up getting to know that dean or teacher through that major, and they will remember you, right, from meeting you then. And you might not meet them again freshman year, but then later on you'll be like, oh yeah, I already know these people, right? So totally worth it. Right?
Yep, and absolutely.
Okay, and then that relates into the next thing, which is just the campus and the quad itself, right? Is the campus all one self-contained thing? How long does it take to walk from one side of campus to the other, right? And how friendly and welcoming is this place? And, you'll probably find out on the tour, right? There will be, unless it's a strange time of year, there are pretty much always students wandering around the campus. And say hi to one of them. If you can, as you're going past like the dining hall or whatever, just grab a student in the hallway and ask them, like what they think, right? And see how they feel. And ask specifically, do people hang out in the quad, or are they always leaving and going, right, somewhere else? And how far is it to get to somewhere else, right? Is there a shuttle service to get to somewhere else, right? Where do you go shopping? All of that stuff. So
let me give you an example.
Do you spend a lot of time on the dorm or not? Yeah, go ahead.
Let me give you an example of one of the things that we noticed when we were sitting on I think it was University of Alabama. And some of the students were walking by and they had dogs that they had gotten from the local shelter that they got to check out. Yeah. Huh. And it's interesting because you can also kind of just sit back and just watch and just see how the people are interacting. And it's hugely telling. And I think it kind of gives you that sense of, am I home or not? Is this going to be my next home? So don't discount that one.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
All right. So another place that we need to visit is the rec center. Now, on every college campus tour, pretty much, I think, that has the rec center, they're going to take you there. And I like to check out things like, is the equipment well maintained? Are you going to feel like, it's not like all goopy and weird and like you're going to get sick there, right?
Yeah.
But here's the big key on the rec center in my book, and that is it busy? Because this is a great place to meet other people because they go there. Typically, people that are going to go there consistently, right?
Right. So you'll see them again if you see them.
You'll see them over and over, and that's huge because this is not like high school where you're seeing them in the hallways. You've got a huge campus. So, go there and, definitely if you enjoy this kind of thing, go consistently the same time of week, just to kind of, at first, at least, just so that you can start to meet some people.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's something that it's worth saying out loud to students because, they may not believe you, but, it is a big transition going to college. You're choosing your own food when before a lot of times, you had food at your family's house that might have been healthier, and you have these options to eat whatever you want. And then in high school, often you were in a sport and then you might not be now. And that's why the jokes are about the freshman 15. If you go from being active to not being nearly as active, it's going to mess up your eating habits and your exercise habits. And so, go find a place, find a kind of exercise you like to do. A lot of modern colleges, have modernized their rec centers and they have rock climbing walls,
lots
of fun stuff to do and outdoor things to do. So find something to do and start doing it, because otherwise, you could have, I've been fighting my weight ever since I went to college,
Yes. And Bobby, here's the other thing that I noticed. All of these colleges now also have like weekend excursions. Mm-hmm. You can check out kayaks. They have horseback riding. I mean, it's crazy, all the huge opportunities. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, I think the last thing that's not really on this list, which is just like, get a list of all the clubs and organizations on campus. Not because you need it right then, but because, in high school, you think, oh, there are like 25 clubs total, right? But in college, there are 250 or 750, right? There's a club for everything you can possibly think of. And if not, you could probably start one, right? But so if you want to join a board gaming club or a kayaking club or whatever, it's all going to exist there. Go look for it. So you might be surprised at all the ways to find like-minded people who have a similar interest.
All right. You want to talk about academic calendar?
Yes. Okay. Oh, right. Academic center. So, okay. All right. So, all right. The academic center is like where you'd get homework help, where you could go and talk to professors to get, different things like that. Also, where they can connect you up if you want to do extra things like a student faculty research thing, or if you want to, like a lot of colleges have mentor situations where older students or faculty might mentor you, right? Go and find like all that stuff. And they probably have a specific academic center. And again, that's a place where they probably aren't going to feature it that much on the tour.
So, all right. Here's something else I just heard today on a TikTok, believe it or not. And that was that in your tuition, you are paying for tutoring services.
Right.
You're paying like $250, $500, somewhere in that. And it was a person that worked there, and she's like, I have 20 slots a day. I might get 5 people a week.
Absolutely. Oh, there's no question with everything in college. Like, yeah, tutoring is just sitting there waiting people to help you write papers. Every school has it. You can go to the writing center and say, "Hey, I'm working on this paper for class. Help me make it better." And they will do that. And that is not cheating. That is
No,
getting help.
Bobby,
That is
they
getting
talk
help.
about one letter grade
Oh yeah.
difference is what they can typically help you get. One letter grade difference. That's huge.
Absolutely. For sure. And yeah, and so that absolutely go and look at that. And also just as a side note on that, if you have accommodations, like if you have ADHD or whatever, and you have an accommodations plan in high school, that also applies in college. And colleges have, especially public colleges, but pretty much all colleges have an accommodations center that might be part of the academic center. But if like there are hundreds of different kinds of little accommodations you can get, and go and talk to them and say, okay, here's what the plan I had in high school is. Get it to apply because there are all sorts of things that you can get help with, or extended time on all your tests and all that stuff. If you got it in high school, you can still get it in college.
Absolutely. And one other thing on the academic center, you can find out too if there's like student faculty research opportunities
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
undergraduates. I mean, guys, if you're thinking about a certain career path and
Mhm.
you want to get acclimated to that, get involved that way too, because now you get practice. Now you get to actually try some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
And you've
And
got
any of
something
our
interesting to talk
listeners,
about on your resume too when you apply for
oh,
a job.
absolutely. Yeah, that's experience. That's internship kind of
Mhm.
ish. You
Yeah.
can't see my air quotes because I'm
Right.
frozen. Yeah, and any of our listeners, if you want to ask a question on this topic, please pop in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, libraries. I got to tell you, Bobby, I was not a library girl.
Right. Yeah. I
No.
wasn't much of one either.
No. And part of it was because I worked and all the good things, and it just was more convenient for me to do it someplace else. However,
Yep.
um, at your library, guys, check out how many quiet spaces they have, especially if you work better in those environments.
Yeah.
Do they have IT assistants? Because a lot of times you'll be doing group class or group kind of work. And do
Mhm.
they have areas for your group work? Because that's a convenient place for you to get together with your study mates. And I think too, you can just kind of figure out the colleges or the
Mhm.
people, if especially if you're kind of more studious, maybe
Yeah.
those are your people too. So get in there, check it out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and also like study groups are good. I mean, I think when I was in college, I just did everything myself and almost never was in any study groups. And study groups are a great way to meet people and a great way to keep yourself on track with the class and get explanations for things you're having trouble figuring out. And so the library is a place where study groups can
And
be.
here's a great question to ask at the library: what's it like during midterms and
Yeah.
finals? Just so that you
Right.
can understand that, right?
Absolutely. All right, and then another place, of course, they're definitely going to take you to is the student union. The main thing is when you go to the student union, which also may be where the restaurant, food cafeteria is. Uh, at the student union, look around, see how many students are just hanging out, and if they seem happy, right? If they seem social. Excuse me, and ask about what the student union is like on weekends. What's the campus like on weekends? Does everybody disappear and go somewhere else, or is everybody hanging out on campus and doing stuff, right? And that's where in the student union you find out a lot of things about organizations. So that's where you can go look around and see, what kind of
Yep.
organizations.
And one of the things that we bring up in the student union area, Bobby, is Greek life.
Yep.
What is the Greek life like on campus? Most
Yep.
campuses, what I see is 30% is
Yeah.
a little bit on the higher side, but
Yep.
you can kind of get a gist for that too. And
Yep.
what do students do for fun on campus and off? I think
Mhm.
that's important too, because you want to kind of
Right.
experience your surroundings as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Now, one that's near and dear to my heart is the
Ah,
Career Center.
absolutely.
Yeah, let's figure out great questions you can ask there are: where have students interned? Is
Mhm.
there a company that is kind of known for having arrangements? One that
Mhm.
comes to mind off the top of my head is Arkansas with
Well,
Walmart
Walmart,
being
right? Yep.
closed. I mean, I know they're very active, and
Yep.
that's huge because that's a big name, right? That you could do an
Mhm.
internship there. Um, do the students have access to the services after they graduate?
Mhm.
And I will tell you guys what I'm hearing out there, the buzz is that our career centers are starting to maybe take some cuts with what's
Oh,
happening in the
interesting.
college
Yeah.
system right now with, pricing going up and, You
Yeah,
know,
extra services are getting cut. Yeah.
extra services, and this is considered, unfortunately, an extra service.
Yeah,
So just
it's not considered an integral part of the thing. Yeah, I mean, I
you
saw
got to
like,
ask.
I saw an article last week that, I mean, I think, like 10% of colleges in the nation have started just eliminating English and history completely from their colleges. That English and history are just no longer considered viable enough degrees. And so they just had to cut costs somewhere. So they just fired all their English and history professors.
Wow.
That doesn't really seem like the right direction to go, but that's
Yeah.
it's what's happening at the small, at some of these small colleges. And so, I guess that's something too to ask about when you go on your tours. Like, what majors do you offer, and have any been cut lately?
Yes, absolutely. And then,
Crazy.
too, I'm a huge proponent of working during college. Now,
Yeah,
for all the caveats out there, yes, if you are a part of sports, like you're playing,
sure.
that's a job in my mind.
That's your job. Yeah.
But what kind of local part-time jobs are available? And they have a lot of stuff on campus,
Oh
RAs,
yeah,
great job. What are those things?
absolutely. I mean, if you can get a little job, like, man, I think my brother and I both worked at the admissions office at TCU for years, and that was great. Great job to have, while you're in school. Get paid, spend 10, 15 hours a week doing stuff. It's great.
Absolutely. And just I like to always throw out there 15 hours is kind of the optimum. Once you get past that, then
Yeah, too much.
schoolwork starts to suffer. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right.
Well, this is a great list, and so as Kristen said, you can get this. You can get it through the download link, and let us know. I'd love to hear how college visits go, and and what questions people have. So this will be more topics for future episodes.
All right. Thanks, guys. And we'll see
Alrighty,
you next
have a great
time.
week. Okay, bye bye.